Hello, everyone, and welcome to the return of Dungeon World Oldtown. I am super happy to be back GMing for these lovely people. Hello, everyone. How are you doing tonight?
Pretty good. How about you?
Better, much better. I'm much better.
I wasn't sure if you were talking to chat or to us.
I was talking to you people who I'm
Okay.
GMing for.
That does make sense.
For some reason, your stream was unmuted for me, and it caused a lot of confusion very quickly when the audio kicked in.
That would be very confusing, yes.
Yeah, basically every time I've streamed, like, I think 90% of the time I've forgotten to mute where I was monitoring the stream, and it would just double play all of the audio.
Yeah.
Oh, I found something amazing and it reminded me of that. I think I showed it to Docs. I cried for about 15 minutes after I saw it.
I don't remember what it was. I remember it was funny, but it wasn't like... Oh yeah, okay, now I remember. Yeah, it was funny. It was just not that funny. And Catilyn was just like going to tears on it.
Oh gosh. Alright, so we're going to be doing a short session tonight because Catilyn has schoolwork to do, and oh gosh, what are we looking at? I'm not looking at this, I'll look at it later. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know what's going on. But I'll deal with that later. We're going to be doing a short session tonight because Catilyn has schoolwork to do and I'm still kind of tired from being sick for like ever. So yeah, let's go ahead and just get right into it. And I'm going to get into it by doing kind of a recap because it's been almost a month since we've played. And
Thank you so much. I was going to beg for it.
And I'm going to start back at the very beginning with the first tower that we all went to. This abandoned tower. Well, you can't see it on stream. Let me switch to this.
Map view.
Map view! The abandoned tower. So, let's see. Where's that? Let's move that there. And then we'll do this to the front. The abandoned tower. So, the original party went to this abandoned tower to the west of Oldtown because they heard that there was a lot of treasure and a lot of undead in there. And the original party was Australia, Olivia, Zed, and Z. Unfortunately, Australia did not make it out of the tower alive.
And now the tower has a gravesite.
Well, it has a burned out funeral pyre, that's for sure. And you just left him like that, but that's okay. So, you went into the tower, you explored it, you encountered flesh golems and gargoyles and iron golems. Zed was able to disrupt a magical summoning circle, which he has no idea what it does, but he can make one.
Yep, I could perfectly recreate it.
And find out what it does later. And then you went down into the basement of the tower where there was this well almost that was in the ground floor and then extended down, and then there was this pit and a dais where there was a skeleton and some like a body, and Zed had dropped his staff there, and when he reached in there, he, rather than light being shed from it like you might expect, it was shadows in there, just faint shadows. And, you know, that was no big deal. Nothing seemed to be happening because of that. But then they decided to go wake up the undead. Is this whole big thing. And they woke up this mummy that started heading towards this well of shadows. And then Australia tried to punch the mummy with an inky black stone. And that
Which had proven prowess at defeating undead.
That is a lie.
It clearly smashed the skeleton before. That's all I'm going to say on the matter.
Anyway.
What was it? Something. I punched a lot of things with that stone.
I mean, you punched a lot of things. I think this was the first time you punched something with the stone. But maybe I'm mistaken. Either way. The stone superheated in your hand, and dark magic coursed down your hand and into your heart and basically gave you a heart attack and you died. And then you went down and Death was like, okay, you can come in. And Estrella was no more. And then they went to recover the stone and the stone was gone. But they found a lot of treasure. So that was good.
Dun.
And then they burned Estrella in front of the tower and went back to Oldtown. And then they threw a big party. In part in Estrella's honor. Because he had passed away. In part because Z wanted to hobnob with the elite. Which, you know, that's legit. And they took some time to look at the magical items that they had looted from the abandoned tower. And Zed had found a map. And the map had, as far as I believe, was it 3 or 4 points? I have to look at my notes.
There was 2 more towers.
2 more. So there were a total of three shadowy marks on the map. 1 to the north, 1 to the west, and 1 to the south. And they went to the one to the north. And I think it was a 4-day walk. And on the 3rd day, Olivia noticed that there were some bandits up ahead during her scouting. And they're like, okay, well, we can handle some bandits, right, guys?
We were prepared for the bandits, not for the other enemy, though.
The wasps.
I had forgotten about them.
Yeah, I made him a little too powerful, I think. maybe just a smidge.
But it was extremely humorous.
It was very entertaining.
Oh boy.
The dog agrees.
Saw the cat.
So, Zed and Z were chased by bees for the majority of that fight. And
that was mostly due to Z bringing them over to me
for
some ungodly reason.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Disrupted my spells and everything.
Shh. This isn't that.
And we left off with Axiom and Z successfully getting rid of the wasps. And I think we can just kind of skip ahead the rest of your journey, which is uneventful. And on the 4th day, you arrive at the tower. It's cloudy. You can see shafts of sunlight breaking through the clouds.
Can we say that we were rested in full HP and stuff?
Yeah, you would have rested. You'll be at full HP. That's fine. So everyone, go ahead and make yourself at full HP.
I don't think I took any damage.
Yeah, you kind of hung back and shot arrows. And you ignored
all
the bees.
Went past me.
Yeah, because you're just like, well, I'm not going to react to them. And so they're like, okay.
Well, Olivia's a ranger. She's probably like...
She is one with
smells
nature.
Of the forest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably taking talk to animals as my next perk.
So anyway, it is late morning. You arrive at this tower. It doesn't look as decrepit as the tower you saw before, and it also looks significantly larger. The other one was like dank and damp, covered with moss, and had no windows. The door in the front looked all mildewy and brokenish. This one actually looks fairly well kept, and you can actually see a clothesline with very small clothes, and they're drying in the breeze.
Is this my tower?
No.
Okay.
Yours is actually
You've journeyed, and you find that in front of you is your house. Yeah, congratulations, you walked home.
Like, well, why would there be like a clothesline with small clothes? All right. First thing Axiom would probably do is pray, and ask Avel what here is evil, because he doesn't really want to smash up someone's home.
Okay. So you kneel down and you pray. And you pray for guidance from Avel. And in your, like, you don't sense anything evil nearby.
Okay, on to the next tower.
However, you do know from your map that this is the tower that is at the location. You can tell from the landscape. You had to, like, climb up some hills and passed by a landmark that was on the map. You're fairly certain that this is the tower that is marked on the map. You don't see any other towers nearby.
There may not be evil here, but there is still, magic and treasure and, all the other things that that other party member that we had promised us.
But the one problem is that, like, if there's treasure and there's somebody living here and they're not evil, like, I don't think we really want to just, like, murder them and take their stuff. I don't know that really counts as treasure.
I don't think that we have to murder them. We could simply, negotiate.
We could hold a sword to them and take their stuff.
We could make them put on a magic cloak that makes them feel like they want the cloak, and then sell them the cloak at an exorbitant fee.
No, been there, done that. Yeah, we could just simply, negotiate with them and see if there's, like, they probably haven't explored the whole thing, top to bottom.
They live here.
I mean, we should probably... I just go up and knock on the door while they're talking, I guess.
Okay.
Unless somebody stops me.
No one answers.
By all means.
Nobody answers?
Nobody answers.
The clothes are not, like, still wet or anything.
Yeah, they're damp.
That they were just put up? Okay.
They're not, like, soaking wet, but they're damp. You actually see nearby there's, like, one of those little wash bowls with, like, a washer in it. And there's still, like, suds on that.
Okay.
So there was somebody actively using it just before we walked up?
Fairly recently. Like, there's not, like, a lot of suds. There's, like, residue of suds.
Well, right now I have vows of truth and honor.
Yes.
I don't think we're breaking any of your vows by knocking on a person's door.
Yeah, knocking on their door and, like, but I'm certain
there is no
question.
But now this is,
what
do we do?
Out of character, real quick. What
the
was
one obstacle we were not prepared for?
A closed door.
Random people living in the house.
Well, you gotta be polite. You gotta be nice. You can't, we're not evil characters. We don't break down the door and barge in anyway.
Yeah, the whole point was to, like, cleanse the evil in these towers. It looks like this tower is pretty much cleansed of evil, and people have even moved in.
Well, I would kind of like to ask them if they have, the dark well of evil in their basement under control, or if they need some help.
Okay, offering assistance. You can do that.
Yeah.
Are we currently in the front of the tower?
Yes.
We're plumbing specialists. We'll clean
I'm gonna walk around to the back while they decide what to do.
Okay. So you walk.
He's Mario. I'm Luigi.
I mean, specifically, Zed has a strong connection with this person who's living in the tower, because this is exactly what he did. He took a tower and made it his own. Now he lives there. He wouldn't want someone else to just barge in and be like, I heard this was evil, and, start taking all his stuff and everything. You know what I mean?
Sure.
He gets it. He understands. So he's trying to be courteous to another tower owner, as it were.
These are great properties. A little bit of a fixer-upper, but...
Yeah. Well, I mean, Zed's got all of the arcane magic in the world on his side, so...
So, Z, you walk around to the back of the tower. You don't see anybody out and about, but you do see a small, well-tended garden. It looks like a vegetable garden.
There's no, like, windows or anything else?
Oh,
on the
yeah,
bottom?
there's windows in this tower. Some of them are windows. Some of them are boarded up. You do find a window that isn't boarded up.
I'm assuming that the ones that boarded up go to the bathroom.
I have a partially made map that I'm going to use as reference, but I'm not going to let you guys see it. So you look in one of the windows of this tower. Oop, I forgot. Chat can see it.
I just closed my...
That's okay. It's fine. I just moved us back to the other screen. So you look in there and you see, like, the light from the sun is kind of shining in, so you can kind of make out the stone floor, but the room that you're looking into is dark, so you can't really make much out.
I'm gonna go over to the garden.
Okay.
And see what's in the garden.
Okay. You see various root vegetables, so like carrots, potatoes, they probably have a couple of like tomatoes on a stick, like for support.
Since nobody is around, I'm going to take a couple tomatoes.
Okay. You find. Do you want to look for? You want to find specifically some ripe ones, or is it okay if they're green?
Ripe.
Okay. You're able to find one ripe tomato. The rest are two green. You can take them if you want, but it's still early in the season.
I'll just take... Are the green ones, like, completely green, or
they're like,
are they turning?
They're turning.
I'm going to take them all then, because the turning ones will turn red, and they'll still keep the flavor.
Okay. So you get 4 tomatoes, one of which is ripe, and 3 which are close to being ripe.
Could I, like, maybe track them to see if they've left, like, if they've gone away from here?
Sure. Let me look. Do you have, like, a special move for that, or would that be under, like...
Yeah, I have a move for that. It's called Hunt and Track. When you follow a trail of clues left behind by passing creatures, roll plus wisdom. On 7+, you follow their trail until there's a change in its direction or mode of travel, and can also gain information about the quarry or determine what caused the trail to end on a 10+.
Direction inside the tower.
Yeah, like there might not be any tracks to look for if they didn't leave.
Go ahead and roll plus wisdom for that.
Okay. Can I add my animal companion helping me search?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so...
Okay. Do you have this move on your character sheet?
Yeah, it's,
okay.
I think, the first one that's listed.
Alright.
By the way, nice roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you choose on the 10+ because 1 is not gonna be useful to you. So and since you rolled so well, I'm not gonna give you. Sorry, one second. Yep, I'm still
making me want to cough.
I'm still sick.
She's making us all cough.
Sorry.
Yeah, I had a cough for like 2 months, and it's like just barely getting like today.
Anyway, so I'm gonna say you're able to gain a useful bit of information about your quarry for the 10+. And I'll give you some information about the tracks. You do see that they lead into the tower. And that is the freshest set of footprints. You also notice that the footprints are all very small, probably half of a human size.
So you might say that they're halfling.
They may be halfling size. I'm taking some cough syrup that might make me drowsy, just letting you guys know.
It's alright. I had a migraine earlier, so I took a Vicodin. So if I just start staring into space, ignore it.
Okay, sounds good.
Is there anything specific about halflings that would like, do we know anything about halflings in general, or not really?
They're just another race of people.
Is spout lore in this game, or?
Yeah, spout lore's this game.
That's right.
Okay.
But I would say you don't really know anything specific about halflings. They're just people, but small.
Right.
I mean, I'm just realizing that my character is an elderly human wizard showing up to a place.
You're not
that
a
has
human. You're an
halflings.
elf.
That's right. How'd I forget that? In any case,
because you have a beard.
It sounds like a similar plot to a certain sci-fi movie. If there's a ring involved.
Oh gosh. So the three of you are standing in front of this door. You've tried knocking and no one has answered. Z is getting puppy kisses. What do you do?
I think Zed's just gonna shout out, "Hello there, anyone home?"
There is no
also, I turned up my mic volume. I hope that's not too loud.
No,
It's
that's
actually
fine.
saying
It sounds good.
I can no longer hear.
There is no response to your shouting. But this tower is quite large, so it's possible that you could shout and someone, if they're deeper within the tower, they wouldn't be able to hear you.
One thing we have to consider is they could currently be being in danger by evil forces which are within the tower.
Yep.
Like at this exact moment, and that's why they can't answer the door.
But his god,
like
said
statistically, it
that there was
seems
nothing
pretty
evil here.
unlikely. Well, where is how specifically is here defined? Is that like
We don't know what his god said, so we could make that misassumption, but Axiom would know.
But like,
I mean, we could assume that they're in danger, that they just showed up here, they were trying to make it into a house, and now they're, still clearing away rooms and whatnot.
They have a garden that's already grown tomatoes.
Well, the thing is,
Well, that's
Z
right,
hasn't
that's
returned yet.
before they walked inside.
Yeah, we don't know about that.
I mean, they do have like a laundry line and a wash basket. Like they probably didn't just show up to this tower like, "Hey, let's clear out this tower." But first, we gotta do this laundry.
The outside of the tower is clear and clean of like vines and all that stuff.
Yeah,
They've
I think
put a little
statistically it's
effort into
unlikely
it.
that they have just started being in trouble right as we walked up. They were
Alright,
going to
that's
be
fine.
in trouble from the tower. Like,
So-
it's more likely that it would happen not right when we happen to show up.
So,
But,
what are we going to do? Are we going
Leave.
to just leave and
Go to the next
other
tower. This
Just-
one is cleansed of evil. There's nothing here. We have no reason to be here.
Does that happen?
Yes. Someone moved in. It's done.
I'll probably come around by this time. The door was knocked on, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna try to walk into the door while everybody's trying to debate what to do.
So you just want to open it?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if it's unlocked.
Okay, it is unlocked. You open the door.
Oh, hey, that's a good idea.
You hear two startled cries, and then you see two small people dash further into the tower.
So they were close enough to the door to see the door open, but they were not close enough to hear me yell?
Well, or they didn't
They may have heard
respond.
us yell and chosen not to respond.
Yeah.
Like they may like not want to be found out that they're living here. Maybe they're like rogues or something, or they're
Or maybe they're just
They're
very
in
little
kind of
people
trouble
and
with
there's
the
like
law.
5 big adventurers outside and they
That could
don't want
also be
any
the
trouble.
See, you notice a wooden like a wooden train set and some blocks sitting in the middle of the
Oh,
room.
it's kids.
Okay, I'm gonna start playing my lute then in a cheerful way, like not casting any spells, just play it
Okay.
and maybe sing like a happy tune.
Okay. What are the rest of you doing?
Well, I would say
Sorry.
Zed wants to make sure that the tower is safe.
Okay.
Especially if seeing the train set and the blocks and whatnot. If Zed saw them. I'm not sure. You didn't mention.
If you
whether or
looked
not I
into
saw
the
them.
tower, you would be able to see them.
Okay. If he made the connection that they were possibly children, he would doubt their ability to be able to effectively clear the tower of all potentially harmful magic.
If they were
And he-
children, would well, once again, I'm
I
going
doubt children like do their own laundry though. To be honest. I don't know. That just doesn't seem that likely. That
There
a
might be,
bunch
like,
of
an
children
entire
moved
family
into
here.
the class and like moved into the building and just set up a house complete with laundry.
Regardless, he wants to make sure that the tower is safe. So
Okay.
he's probably going to end up going in. If they decide that they want to, dispute us being there, then we can talk, which is what we wanted to do in the first place. Otherwise, if they're just going to keep on running away in circles, then he's just going to go about his business and, make sure everything is all right and leave once he's satisfied. I mean, we're not going to take anything from him. We're not going to steal. You know what I mean? We're just going to make sure that it's actually a safe place for them to live. So that's fine.
Axiom sits outside of the entrance.
I might wait outside too because like the kids probably will not be happy to see my like giant murder cat walking in their house.
I saw a video of a lion at the zoo eating a squirrel.
Oh gosh.
So I can imagine what it looked like for a little child or halfling to see a huge cat. So
Yeah, it's probably like taller than they are.
Halfling child,
Okay.
halfling child. Super small.
all right. So yeah, Zed and Z, I suppose.
With this tower, even though like it's kind of cleared out or anything, is it old enough that I could possibly know any history of it?
Sure.
From my Grand Histories of the Known World particular.
Yeah, sure. Let me go ahead and look at that move. Just to make sure. Yeah, ask me any one question about it.
Has anything significant ever happened in here since I've like from the past or whatever, since it is the history?
Okay. So basically, what significant events have taken place here?
Yes.
Okay. You think back and you remember something about, and you don't remember all the details, but you do remember something about the Black Cabal, which Estrelli knew were the inhabitants of the other tower that you have visited. And you
But Estrelli's dead now.
Yes, but you still were able to contribute lore to the world. And you remember something about how probably a couple thousand years ago, maybe 2,000 years ago, there was a great war. And though most of the details have been lost to time, you know that this tower was one of the great staging grounds for this great war. And it was linked to
Like
the
a
Black.
like a crucial point or something.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Okay.
And the Black Cabal was one of the factions, I guess, that fought in this great war.
Okay. I guess I'll probably just be singing of that then while I kind of scope out the room that I'm in.
Well, I would like to know what song, story, or legend you learned this in.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it says in here that the GM
Oh,
may then
okay.
ask you what tale, song, or legend you heard the information in, so you can just make something up and add lore to the world.
Okay, we will say
The Legend of the Black Cabal in D minor.
How far away from this?
It's a really long song full of a variety of information.
Sorry, what
This
was
is a couple-day journey, right?
Yeah, this is the 4th day of your journey.
Okay, so we'll actually just say that I've learned it recently from my new BFF, Alaith,
Okay.
since they've been there forever.
Okay. You were talking history at the party?
Probably.
It's a bard thing. You wouldn't
Probably talk
understand.
about
Or
it.
exchanging sweet jams.
A little bit of
really
both.
the same thing. If you're a bard.
Okay. So are you and Zed walking into the tower? Or are you staying outside, Z? Because it seems like Zed's going in.
Oh, I'm already in.
Okay.
Like a couple steps in.
Yeah, just call out if you need, help with anything.
Yeah, because if the door is unlocked, I would have just opened it and taken a couple steps in, which is I'm assuming about when they ran off.
Yes, it's like as soon as the door opened, they were bolting for the hallway. Alright, so you step in and you're in what looks like it would be an antechamber. To your right, there is an open door which immediately curves off in one direction, and it looks like it's going down in a hallway. Off to your left, there is a door that is closed. The room is fairly clean. There is a rather large rug in the middle of the room, and then there are a scattering of toys. You can hear running footsteps of the children as they're running down the hall.
Which way did they go?
They went to the right.
To the right. So there's still a closed door to our left.
Yes.
And was there a stairway
No.
that leads up?
No.
So just 2 doors. Okay.
Just 2 doors. One is open. The one to the left is open. The one to the... Wait, no, I'm wrong. They went to the right. I have it backwards because, on my map, you're coming in from the north, going down. So I have to kind of flip it in my head. So the door to the right is open. It leads into a hallway. The door to the left is closed. You don't know where it leads. You're in a I don't know, medium-sized antechamber with a large rug and toys in the middle.
Okay, so my song's like a mixture of the history of the place, and every once in a while I add a line of what I witnessed them going in. And that's how I convey that to the people.
Okay.
And here in the location of this toy set is where the soldiers...
I suppose Zed's going to take a look at the door to the left.
Okay.
I'll follow.
Are you opening it, or are you just looking at it?
Attempting to see if it's locked.
It is not locked. You can open it if you like.
I can open it. All right, so Zed goes ahead and does it. He knocks first, and then he opens the door.
Okay. So, there's no response when you knock. You open the door. The room is dark, but it looks fairly pleasant. There is, some couches that look like they've been stuffed with hay to make them comfortable. Pillows and rugs in the room. There are some standing candelabras that are unlit. Everything is half-sized, so you can kind of tell right away it's either halflings or dwarves who live here, and probably halflings from what Olivia was able to detect from their footprints.
All right. About this time, I would like to cast Detect Magic, if I could, please.
Okay. Go ahead and roll plus intelligence. And, would you like to use your spell component pouch? Reminding you that you have that, at least. You don't have to use it. I'm just reminding you it exists.
I do thank you for that, because I had completely forgotten that I had that. And yes, this is a fairly important roll, so I will be using that for an additional +1.
Okay. So we'll add the +1 in after the fact. You fail, so mark XP.
Yay!
I mean, not actually that close, to be honest. You needed 3 more.
Well, no, I had a
only
plus
two,
1, so that
only
was a
2
5.
more.
Yeah, only 2 more.
Okay, so let's see. What do I want to do with that? You are convinced that there is magic in the pillows.
Magic in the pillows.
Yeah, not the pillows themselves aren't magic, but you believe you've seen magic shimmering in the depths of the pillows.
Those pillows are really freaking comfortable. Let's just say that.
All right, I pick one of the pillows up and attempt to see if there's anything solid inside.
Okay. You pick it up, you squish it with your hands and kind of shake it, and there doesn't seem to be anything in there. There's like stuffed with like feathers.
I'm really glad that Axiom isn't looking inside right now.
My song now shifts to how weird I find it that you're playing around with pillows.
I like how you're basically
Well,
just narrating everything with your songs.
Well, like, I'd probably look over at you and go, I thought I saw magic in here. Must not be, though. And I set the
Oh,
pillows
okay.
back down. And I didn't see any other magic then besides just what I thought I saw in the pillows.
No, you thought you saw magic inside every one of those pillows, though.
All right, they might just be enchanted for comfort. I mean, there wasn't any physical item in it. I would think that there wouldn't really be any evil thing in a pillow. So I'm just going to assume that they're enchanted for super comfort or fantastic night's rest. And if there's nothing else in the tower, Zed's pretty much satisfied. One thing he would like is possibly to find a way down to see if there's another well at the bottom of this.
Okay, well,
Other than that,
you don't see any stairs in this room. It's just, it looks like it's a small sitting room.
all right. So I step out and close the door then.
Okay.
And I guess I proceed down the hallway to what was the right.
Okay. So you go through, and it immediately, as soon as you step through the doorway, it immediately curves off towards the left and goes deeper into the tower. And it's a very, very long hallway. Like, you look down and it ends in darkness. Like, you can't see as far as the hallway goes. But you can see that it branches off in a couple of directions. So it goes for maybe... I gotta zoom in, I can't see that. It goes for maybe 50 feet, and then it branches off to the left. Another 40 feet after that, you think you can make out a doorway, and then it just starts getting darker and darker.
All right. Well, left would be toward the center of the tower, right?
Yeah.
The first left. Okay, so I'll probably take that. I'm looking to try to get toward like a well room similar to what I saw in the previous tower.
Okay. You curve.
I'm trying to go for the center.
Okay. You curve into another hallway. It extends 40 feet, and then there's a sharp left turn. And then you go about 10 feet, and then it turns right again. And then it goes about 60 feet, and then it's starting to get very dark. There are some windows, though. So there are patches of sunlight in places. But it's...
Is my staff still lit?
No, you'll have to relight it.
Oh boy. I have a feeling it's going to be one of those episodes.
It might be. I mean, considering how you started.
Are
Also-
you staring at your thing right now, expressing that you want to light it?
I'd probably just do it, mostly out of habit.
I'm gonna start to step back while you do that, saying, express my weariness about it in my song.
And I will not be using the component spell pouch
Okay.
for this.
So
Should
go
be a
ahead
simple enough operation.
and roll plus intelligence. Okay. So you can choose one. Draw unwelcome attention, or put yourself in a spot. Or take -1 on going to cast a spell, or forget the spell.
Draw unwanted attention.
Okay. So, you cast the spell successfully, and you cast it quite boisterously. And then you, hear an old woman's voice, and she croaks, "What's going on over there?" And you see a tiny old woman with very gray hair and a very wrinkled face, and she's squinting at you and shaking a stick. "What are you doing in my tower?"
Tower inspection. We're making sure that everything here is safe.
She whacks you with the stick she whacks you in the shin with her stick. "I don't believe you! Tower inspection!"
Laugh.
"Get out!" She starts poking you. "Get out!"
I will, ma'am, but first, have you encountered anything of a magical nature that you haven't been able to deal with? Are there
"Well,
places
there's a
in this
wizard
tower-
right in front of me casting light spells. Poke, poke, poke."
Well, yes. How else am I supposed to inspect the tower if I can't see?
The funny
Have
part
you
here
been-
is he's not lying. He's actually here to
Actually,
inspect the
completely
tower.
true.
Have you been to the tower's basement yet? We have reason to believe that there is possibly something of a malign nature in the basement. Have you gone down there?
Just sort of like calmly trying to talk to her while she's like, "I'm here." I think even the niece
should
is
start
saying, like, but have you gone down to the basement?
Well, I mean, he does too. She poses absolutely no threat to him. She's like, up to like knee high. So he's just trying to talk to her calmly.
Oh, there's something knee high she can hit.
I mean, like, the beat is very small too. You gotta take that into consideration.
"You walk into my tower, you scare my grandchildren. Get out, poke, poke." "We've lived here for 15 generations," shaking the stick. "And never, never, tower inspection, I never."
I want to be charming and open with her.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm gonna ask her, "Whom do you serve?"
I
I
think
want
there's a
I
condition.
want you to role play that a little bit better, though.
I think you need like time alone with a person or something like that. I don't think it's just like at any given moment swap stories.
Well, I mean,
when you
I
speak
think-
frankly
No,
with someone, you can
it's just
ask your
being
player a question from the list below. They must answer truthfully, and then they may ask you a question, which you must answer truthfully.
Yep. So I'm going to okay, a frank way to say it.
I mean, even if, like, you don't have to worry about the wording so much, just, like, I want to see how you're being charming and open with this crotchety old woman.
I will probably let's see, 15 generations she said, right?
Yeah.
How long ago is that in relevance to when the fight happened there? I don't know how long.
Now I have to do math.
Elves live, not half elves. I don't know how long
Halflings.
Halflings?
I was gonna say if halflings' lives are only like 5 years, 15 generations could be as much as like.
It was probably Like, it was 2,000 years ago that the battle happened. It was about 1,000 years ago that they would have moved in. So they've been living here for 1,000 years. According to this old lady. Who may or may not be... Yeah, that's about 15 generations.
Is Axiom close enough to hear?
And
you can probably hear shrill shouting and then like calm murmuring from Zed, and then more shrill shouting and probably like a little ow from Zed as she whacks him with the stick.
And a lute suddenly stopped playing and really loud laughter from me.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that situation would be made better by the sudden arrival of a giant cat, so I'm going to continue to stay outside.
I think Axiom has the same idea.
Because Axiom is like wearing armor and stuff, right? He's like,
oh yeah, and
looks
glowing
like
eyes.
He's about to sword somebody. Yeah.
So maybe you come up to this woman and you
We're
kind of
probably
like
not the diplomacy wing of the party.
I'm gonna start playing the lute, kind of like a doll, not doll, but like a classical kind of calm, not too loud, like very soft thing. There we go.
kind of like
That's
chamber
correct,
music.
Kinda. And I'm gonna like kind of walk up to her and
She squints at you suspiciously.
tell her that I noticed her garden was in desperate need of picking, and I show her the red one, saying this one was already ripe and could have been already eaten. And then I produce the turning ones, and I say these ones I picked along with it because it'll help your plants produce more to get rid of them when they start to turn.
You stole from her garden and then you play it off like you're helping?
Yeah.
She's a charming bard. She can get away with it.
So I go to hand, like I obviously stop playing for a second while I hand them to her and say, we were concerned about this tower because of the history that it has with another one we were in, and did not mean to scare anyone, but when we did see some people running, we came over here as even though my friend was not very tact about it. I was just wondering, do you guys associate with anyone or serve someone around here?
She looks at you with very, like, serious, sharp eyes. And even though they're hooded and lined with age, her actual eyes look very, very intelligent. Like, she's still very present, even though she's very angry with Zed. And, she says to you, and she's holding, like, she's small, so, and she still wants to hold her stick in case she needs to whack one of you, so she's had to, like, pull up her blouse at the hem a little bit to hold the tomatoes with one hand. And she looks up at you, and she says, "The only one I serve is my family. Now, get out of here. Why are you in here? How can I get you to leave?" And she whacks Zed again.
At which point Zed's going to be, all right, fine, I'm on my way. And he says, if you happen to see anything, of a malign nature in this tower, you can reach me over at my tower, and hands her a card or something with the directions to it.
You just set it on the tomatoes in her blouse because her hands are not free.
What was the question that she asked me?
How can I get you to leave? I don't have the list though, so I think it's how can I get you to do X.
Yeah, it's blank. It's just blank after how can I get you to.
Yeah, so she says leave. How can I get you to leave?
I look over at Zed and I say, well, we could have asked if we could have looked in the place, but you kind of ruined that, didn't you?
Well, she was hitting me. I mean, really. I don't necessarily want to stay in an unwelcome environment. like I said, it was, we only stepped in to make sure everything was all right, and it seems like everything's fine here.
I mean, if they've been here for 1,000 years.
Yeah, everything seems fine in this tower. The only thing we've done here is disturb a family, so let's just move on.
I mean, even in the other tower, nothing would have really happened if we hadn't opened the box. It wasn't like if somebody was living there, suddenly the box was going to open on its own. That was completely our own actions that set off that series of events.
That's true.
I look at the old lady and say, we are more than welcome. We are more than willing to leave. However, because we have scared your family and everything, wouldn't it be in such a good gracious and very kind of this person over here to maybe tend your garden for a little bit and get you some of the fresh stuff, since you seem to have your hands tied with the grandkids?
She looks at you a little bit. Yeah. I'll have to ask my son. Go back to the first room where the grandkids were. Go back there and wait. She shakes the stick menacingly at Zed.
I start playing my lute again while I start walking.
She watches to make sure. She actually follows you partway to make sure you actually go back there. And once you do, she goes the other way.
Is there someone to sit, like somewhere to sit in the little room?
You could sit on the floor, or you could go into the sitting room.
Chairs.
Okay, I'm just gonna probably.
There's a rug. You could
just
sit on the rug if you wanted, or take a pillow, one of the magic pillows.
No, I'll just stand in the little room.
Okay. And Zed, I assume you also go back to the first room.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
quite happy to be away from that lady.
I think this is probably a good point to take our first and only break for tonight, as we've been playing for about an hour.
Watchers, be warned that we are taking a shorter than usual session today.
Yep, we're only going to go for another hour after this or so. Because I'm still kind of getting over being sick, and Catilyn is also getting over being sick and has homework later. So we're just going to kind of ease back into this with angry old halflings, apparently. So yeah, we're going to take a short break, probably like 5 minutes or so, and we'll see you when we get back. So be right back.